Namaste, Soul Tribe, friends and family, Venus lovers. This is Dr. Danny. How are you guys doing today? I'm going to bring you information about the next full moon coming up on the 23rd. It's called a pink moon this time. Last month was the worm moon. This month is the pink moon, and it has to do with the pink flowers, or at least that's what the Farmer's Almanac says, and that's what we call it here in North America. So we'll go through that. I'm also going to give you some of the general energies leading up to that pink moon. We're going to talk today a little bit about one of the tougher aspects that's coming up right as that full moon is swelling, Pluto conjunct the sun, in a way that you can work with that energy. Okay, so let's dive in. Yeah, Pluto, the Lord of the Underworld. It's going to be deep. It's going to be dark. I've been going to a lot of dark places in order to bring you guys this Pluto class, but I think it's necessary. You know, with all the excitement of the eclipse, we've been ignoring senior Pluto a little bit, and I think it's high time we started to look at that. I just wanted to show you the sky first, real quick, just so you believe me. We are doing constellational astrology in this video. If you follow tropical, you can still listen in and try to understand what we do. But I believe that the tropical is going to have the moon in Virgo and or in Libra. And that is the sign. The sign of Libra overlaps the constellation of Virgo. And so I spend a great deal of time teaching about this and trying to explain it. You can go to learn.drdanny.com to get more information on this. But this is where the moon will be in the sky. So if you were to take your telescope or just open your eyeballs, you would see there's the full moon in Virgo. And here is the sun in the constellation of Aries right here. Okay. Mars has just entered Pisces, has left Saturn, and is now moving into the arms of Neptune. There it is. See Neptune right there. Okay, so that's our sky. This is stellarium-web.org. So if you ever want to know where stuff is exactly in the sky, you can just go to this website right here and check it out. You can change the dates. Here's the dates, so you believe me. And here we go. All right, let's take a look at the birth chart or the natal chart of the full moon on the 23rd of April. This will be at around 5 p.m. my time in Central Daylight Time. So wherever you are in the world, it might be a little bit different, but this is where they go exact. And what we have is the sun just entering Aries. So you can see it right there on the very cusp, about 3 degrees within the constellation of Aries. And the moon is in the last 10 degrees of the Virgo constellation. You can see how they're different as constellations, right? They're all different sizes, different degrees. So you can have, let's see, Venus right now, or on that day, will be in 33 degrees of Pisces. That's unheard of in tropical astrology. But in constellational astrology, you can absolutely do that. So let me go ahead and get my pen out and we'll take a look at this chart. So we have sun in Aries and moon in Virgo. That's also an unusual combination too. Like if you're using tropical astrology, you're going to have them exactly opposite each other. You're going to have Libra with Aries and Pisces with Virgo and Aquarius with Leo. But sometimes when you get cuspy full moons or new moons, you can have them be in signs that they normally would not express themselves in. So it's an interesting dynamic for sure. All right, so what is Aries all about? Aries is all about that new beginning, the spirit of the fight, bravery, trust, drive, okay? So this is like the beginning of that hero's journey. Everything is fresh and new. There's an excitement of possibilities. We've just come through that very intense and deep and sleepy solar eclipse over here in Pisces with Mercury retrograde. Mercury will turn direct 2 days after this full moon. You know what? Let me, is that on the next screen? It might be. Let me see. Hang on one sec, guys. Nope, that's the picture of the moon. Close this. Right here. This is what I wanted to actually show you first before we get into that, because there's energies that are going to be affecting this full moon. And so I think it's important that we take a look and see what they are. But I just want to show you how they're coming in. It's basically all of this is building up to this full moon, and then it's going to die off a little bit, and we'll have more of a guided, intentional action type of energy. So here it is on the 23rd. And the sun had just moved into Aries on the 21st. Okay. That's why I wanted to show you this calendar, because it happened on the 21st. You might hear from tropical astrologers that it's actually entering the sign of Taurus. It is entering the sign of Taurus, but it's actually entering the sign of Aries. And so you can choose which energy you'd like to use. Do you want to use where the sun actually is in the sky, like the ancient astrologers, or do you want to use a sort of a cylindrical construct over top of that? I like to use the sky. It's my ephemeris. So I won't belabor that point anymore, but I just wanted to show you this is where Mercury goes direct again. And then later in the month, Pluto goes retrograde. But during this week before the full moon, we've got this building and swelling energy of this Jupiter and Uranus conjunction. Now, I just dropped a video a few days ago about this conjunction, and I took it through the natal houses. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link to that video here at the end so you guys can check out that video. During this conjunction, Mars sextiles Uranus and Jupiter. And then we've got the Sun-Pluto square. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about all of these things when we look at the actual chart. So let me erase that and let's get into the chart. Put the pen back in. Okay. So we have this new beginning. It's basically the seedling in the ground reaching up for the sun, reaching up for that full expression. So bravery, trust, drive. There's also a swelling of pride here. And then you've got moon in Virgo. And one of my colleagues said that the moon was in the skirts of Virgo. Verone Bright, she said that it's revealing the hidden gems of creation. And that's what Virgo is. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about Virgo, but the way that I understand Virgo is that Virgo is the birthing mother sky goddess. My mentor taught me this. And when you actually look into the sky, if you were to take the Hubble telescope and zoom into the Virgo constellation, what you're going to see is thousands of galaxies. All these other constellations maybe have 10, maybe have 100, but Virgo has over 1,000 galaxies right here in this little cluster of space. It's the Virgo cluster, okay? And what are galaxies? Well, they're swirling masses of stars and planets and all sorts of matter around a very central point of very, very high, dense energy. And that is source. Our own galactic center is right here on the zodiac wheel between Sagittarius and the 13th sign, Ophiuchus. And so what you've got here is energy turning into matter. And that's what we are. That's why the South Node's there. It's teaching us to remember that we are creators, that we can bring energy into matter through manifestation, and the moon's sitting right there. So highlighting that new beginning, the sun's rays from Aries are coming down, illuminating the moon, bringing in that fresh new optimism in the space where we bring energy into matter. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about Pluto is not only is Pluto squaring the sun for a little while, but during this full moon, there's also there's a moon square. So he's basically T-squaring the sun and the moon. And for a big portion of last year, Pluto was T-squaring our collective nodes. And boy, wasn't that difficult. Oh my gosh, everybody was just trying to figure out who they were and what they wanted to do and what they wanted to give up in order to evolve. And now there's a little reminder of this as Pluto squares both the sun and the moon for this brief period of time, the sun for a few extra days. So this T-square is going to be a quick aspect because the moon is going to move very quickly. But both sides of our collective vital force are subject to some sort of intensity, some sort of obsession, some sort of compulsion here. Is it conscious or is it unconscious? Okay, so something might feel forced upon us. We might feel an intense restlessness, like we need to be somewhere else. A small ego death might be coming. So let me just explain this a little bit. I titled the video of this talk like, the pink moon and the Lord of the Underworld. And that's what Pluto is. Pluto, the correct dates for the transit through Sagittarius is somewhere between 2007 and this year. So he basically just left Sagittarius, and we'll go through Sagittarius a little bit more in the fall. But what happens as Pluto moves through Sagittarius? You get this digging up of what our truest and most authentic spiritual beliefs are. And I don't know about you guys, but over the past 15, 20 years, I've been going through quite an immense change on what I believe and how I express that and what has true meaning in my life. Okay. And what happens necessarily when we go through that process individually is our perspective changes. we evolve, we change. And as a result, our external reality crystallizes that new perspective for us. Okay. And Pluto is mimicking this as he moves into the sign, or into the constellation, I should say, of Capricorn. So, what we're going to be witnessing over the next decade and a half or so is Pluto dissolving, tearing down, burning, destroying those structures that are no longer serving that authentic purpose. He's going to be realigning all of that, transforming that, and having new structures, new energies that are extremely powerful and transformative arise out of that energy. Okay, so that's what Pluto's doing in general in the sky right now. So Pluto, being the god of the underworld, it carries a certain connotation of like being scary or dangerous. But really, what's dangerous are the thoughts in our mind, okay? And they're brought about by fears that we have, whether they're realistic or unrealistic. So we have to ask ourselves two really important questions. Number one is, where do our fears come from? You know, and we're going to talk about that a little deeper in a second. But the second question is the darkness, is the fear, is it really bad? You know, so is it really bad? If you take a higher perspective and you have light and you have dark, what judgments do you have for it? I mean, if you're a higher perspective being, if you're looking at it from the perspective of source, they're necessary. You need to have them both down here in this physically dense, intense reality that we're living in. Because if you didn't see the dark, then you wouldn't see the light, right? If you didn't see the light, then you wouldn't know what darkness is. And so let's talk a little bit about Pluto's darkness. What is darkness? To me, darkness is the absence of light, and it's chaos. And we're never comfortable with chaos. The ego mind hates chaos. But chaos is also extremely powerful because chaos flows unbridled, right? It's instant manifestation in the darkness, which is the void space, right? You guys have heard about void meditations, going to the void space, going to center. That's where that chaos lives. It's not exactly chaos, but it is unknown. It's potential, which is always, unknown. So unknown, unlit potential in the space of the void, in the space of the darkness, in that very center part of us. That is instant manifestation, right? And that is an incredible power to have in this particular domain. Once you can tap into that and you realize how strong you are, you can use your power unconsciously based on these fears that you have and magnetize things to you that transform you into not thinking that anymore, or profoundly paralyze your ability to be powerful. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about number one, which is, where do our fears come from? Like, what is fear manifestation? It's a reflection of the ego mind. So imagine you could just sort of sit your little ego down in a chair and say, I don't want you to think about anything right now. I want you to be very, very quiet and watch me work. Okay. This is a type of consciousness that Pluto needs you to do. It's an utter mindfulness and an utter control over that ego. Okay. Because the ego has no chance standing up to Pluto. If the ego tries to bluster and stick its chest out in front of Pluto energy, Pluto's just going to burn it down, knock it over. It's going to be very painful for that ego. And so if the ego can just sit there and watch Pluto work without any judgment, without any preconceived notions, then you can do things right here. So follow me, right? So ego has no fighting chance. You are very powerful. Pluto teaches you that your fears can absolutely become manifest. So what if that same crippling fear has you racked, sobbing, wearing a mask? And if that same intensity was channeled into a compassionate expansion? The reality of all of this is that most of us are actually afraid to feel that way. And so that's what I am going to talk about in the Pluto class, you guys. We are going to go deep. We are going to analyze all of Pluto's scary dark energy. It might not be for everybody. It might not be for those that are not ready to kind of take a minute and really examine this. But this is the beginning of the slideshow here. So we're going to explore the mythology and cosmology of Pluto. We're going to review the celestial mechanics of Pluto. All this will be really brief. But then we're going to really dive deeply into the houses. We're going to go through the unconscious patterns so that you can recognize them, so that you can have a mindful awareness of the unconscious patterns that are in the house where your Pluto dwells. And then I'm going to give you the conscious choices you can make because of where your Pluto's placed. Okay. Then we're going to take Pluto archetypal energy through all the constellations. And we're going to do a little bit of history because we have to actually redo the dates, because the accurate constellational dates of Pluto are completely different than tropical. You also have to take into account Pluto through Ophiuchus. This just recently happened in the early 20th century. The early 20th century, about 20 years ago. And so we need to kind of see what that energy is going to mean for these people that were born with Pluto and Ophiuchus. They are coming into their adult life and their power right now. And so they might be coming to us for consultations, and we need to know what that energy is about. And then we're going to work kind of like lead to gold energy, discovering the power of Pluto transits and how they can transform your life. And then we're going to do some very amazing examples. So that's what I have planned for us Tuesday, the 23rd. I so hope you guys can join us. We're going to get dark, we're going to get deep, but you're going to feel really good afterwards. Okay. So if this turns you on, and and it does me too, because I kind of have a little bit of a dark side here. This class has got me thinking about my own dark side. So if you want to learn about your dark side and embrace it, I highly recommend you to sign up for this class. If you can't make the live, it'll be in the course module a couple days later. So yeah, this class is going to be at least 2 hours. I had no idea how deep the darkness goes, but we're going to look at it all. Okay. All right. So that's enough about that class. I'm just really excited about it, if y'all can't tell. Some other energies that are going on. Whenever you talk about the moon, we want to talk about the nodes as well. So we have our collective south node here in Virgo, and we have our collective north node here, conjunct a retrograde Mercury, Venus, and Chiron. For me, this has always been about our evolution towards universal love and oneness. That's where our collective needs to go. And Saturn is quincunxing on that. Saturn is over here in Aquarius, quincunxing on the south node. So this feels like there's something that we are not seeing. There's something that we are overlooking, and it has to do with timing or a responsibility. So maybe double check everything that matters to you before this full moon. So what I would say is, if you are thinking about this with me, I would, before this full moon, maybe early this week, as you get into later next week, think about what you might be missing, especially because Mercury is about to end its retrograde. Double check everything. Okay. There could be something in all these excitement of the building energies that we might actually have forgotten. So there could also be a potential here of desperately hanging on to something that we need to let go of, but that we cannot for some reason. Okay. So I would look and see where your south node is in your natal chart, what house that is, and also where Saturn is, because in this particular chart, it's a first house, sixth house quincunx, which is self and health, or self and service, but it could very well be in your fourth and ninth house, which would be home and faith. Okay. So it just depends on where they are in your chart. But remember, just review everything before the end of next weekend, this coming weekend, and see if there's something you can let go of that you may or may not need. And then Saturn will also semi-sextile onto the north node. So this might be a good energy to channel for clarity on what Saturn's trying to speak to us for our nodal evolution. A semi-sextile is when two different elements work harmoniously together. So you have air and water working together, and air flows and water flows. So, earth does flow and so does fire, but air and water tend to flow together. So this combo of planets speaks here to deep physical, emotional, and mental healing. So maybe through a healing ritual, through a healing practice, through letting go of something, there might be a healing there that's very easy to obtain that will propel you towards your own evolution. And then we've got, let's see, then on the north node, we've got the collective destiny. We've got Mercury there in retrograde. So the sky's the limit with inspiration. especially in Pisces. Mercury in Pisces is like all the juicy downloads from the hyperconscious. There's also a reconnection with spirit, with Chiron in this space here too, because all this energy is connected to that north node still. And then a creative inspiration too with Venus there. So she's feeling all that spiritual energy right now, and what it is it's culminating into an expression that's going to burst forth once she enters into Aries. So all this feels like just a breath of fresh air, a new perspective, and Saturn is going to help you kind of let go of that energy with that quincunx semi-sextile. And then, like I said, a couple days after this, Mercury will station direct on the 25th of April, 24th, 25th. So, all of those juicy revelations that you received, it's time to speak more and listen less. As Mercury approaches the constellation of Aries, it is time to begin. It is time to let everyone know. And that's how you work with Mercury, through its cycle, through its direct and its retrograde phases. And on my last class with Mercury, I teach you guys how to use that and why that works. I'll leave a link for that too if you're interested in that. And then a couple of other non-lunar aspects that I want to talk about too. This aspect right here, this Uranus and Jupiter conjunction, is going to be building and culminating on the 20th, a few days before this full moon. So that energy is going to feel at its peak as well. And like I said, I did do a video on that. That just dropped. I'll leave a link for that. Also, my friends Maria Schumacher and Michael Hardigan did a very nice hour-long discussion on this. I will leave a link to One Sky Astrology. Go subscribe to that channel. Go like that video. And then the other conjunction that's going to be happening shortly after this full moon, which is important, is Neptune conjunct Mars. Mars and Neptune are, so Saturn is leaving the confines of Saturn, gripping onto him and holding him back, and he's going to just kind of splash into the lovely arms of Neptune right there in Pisces. And that energy is going to feel like very guided, inspired action. So really, really tap into your intuition the week after the full moon. Just let your, because Mercury will be direct, the eclipse will be over, Mars will be with Neptune, all that intuitive, guided energy will be available to you. And if you follow that gut and follow your guides, you can do no wrong, okay? This will literally work out exactly the way you need it to. All right, and then Mars will also sextile onto that Uranus and Jupiter energy, which is nice because Mars rules Aries. Okay. So I think that these two are actually tied in very nicely for that energy. It's almost as if the cosmos is just begging us to have new beginnings, to open ourselves up to abundance, to express our new wild and crazy selves. And it's all very guided. That's what all this feels like to me. And then finally, my sweet Venus, finishing up her transit through Pisces, is going to semi-sextile Jupiter and Uranus right here and here. So again, it's two different elements working harmoniously together. You've got that fire of spirit, which is Aries, and then you've got that sublime, watery oneness of Pisces. And then you've got inspiration and the metamorphosis of faith in the self. So creative inspiration is coming for us as well, and you can work very nicely with those two energies together. So we need to dive deep into Pluto and his darkness and what transformations he has in store for us so that we can make conscious decisions and conscious manifestation and deal with the things that we fear the most. Because when we follow that guided energy, we're going to be taken to a place of just sublime love and oneness and energies that are incredibly fantastic. So please give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe if you're lurking. Please join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. I am also taking new clients, and I have a new reading that I think you guys will really, really like. It's the quarterly constellational report. So what I do in this report, and it's a great deal for what you get because it takes me several hours to prepare these. I go through a detailed, very accurate analysis of the next 3 months of energy and how it relates to your natal chart. And then I say, okay, it's happening in these two houses. This is what might happen. This is what you might have to think about. And not everything's a big deal. I mean, like some of it might just be about, making a, quick personal decision. Some of it might be about big relationships. Who knows? It's all very personal. So I encourage you to check that out. I love taking on new clients. You get It's probably going to be like an hour and a half private recording that you get to download and listen to, and make sure you watch the time because you'll want to go back and listen to it. But it's 3 months. So basically from the time that you order the report to 3 months out, you're going to get all the details about your astrological energy. It is highly personalized, freakishly accurate, and a really good price. Okay. So I will leave a link for that below. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you guys again. I love you all. Namaste.